She watches me from the cliffs, always in the fog, always with that lantern. What does she want? Why me? The light, it flickered more and more. Something is wrong with it. I can feel it. It isn't just a flame, it's alive. It responds to her somehow. She's connected to it, but how? I must find out. I must stop her. The light is the key. The lantern, it's more than it seems. It holds something, something terrible. If she gets it back, she'll open the door. She'll bring them all back. The wrecks, the sailors, all of them. She'll bring them back to the cliffs. I have to keep it hidden. She can't know where it is.
Well, given she appears on the cliffs, she is a ghostly figure at this point. We know she made some compact with something. And it appears that there is a curse involved, although that may just be a layman's term for a pact they didn't know about or understand. I believe that cave is something we should check.
You mentioned...
Perhaps wait until tomorrow.
You mentioned that she made a pact. Does it say where she made the pact?
No, just that the exact phrasing for it was, you have betrayed me. I know the truth now. You never intended to return. This is to Robert, her beloved. You never intended to return. You found another, didn't you? You left me here to wait night after night while you sailed away to some distant shore. But the sea does not forget, and neither do I. I will make you come back. I will make all of you come back. The pact has bound me to this place, and now the sea itself obeys my will. Ships will crash upon these rocks, and the souls they carry will join me, waiting forever. The light will never go out, and you will never find peace, not until you return to me soon. So most likely, she was igniting that lantern and walking along the cliff, holding it out to wander as she watched the sea.
Fresh air.
Do keep the lantern close and safe. We are under observation.
You see someone out there? Somebody
No.
follow us up?
No. More of a obscure observation.
Do you think it's
I think it's her.
the Oh. Someone else want to carry the lantern? I mean, I don't.
If
I
you're
can
too
carry it.
afraid, Harold,
I'm not afraid. I'm not. I'm just saying.
I will happily take it from you, Harold,
Okay.
if you don't want it.
I never said I didn't want it. It seems like you want it, but I'm obliged to. Of course, sure.
I really don't care who has it as long as they keep their head on a swivel.
Well,
Stalloway, are you well? You gasped.
She's gonna, as she composes herself again, she's gonna look to Winifred. This woman is so hurt. There's so much sorrow and pain in her, and I can feel it. I saw her again at the cliffs.
Yes, well, she's drowned countless sailors in her pain. I find it difficult to be too sympathetic. But at least you are.
Do you think that perhaps she influenced the lighthouse keeper to sabotage his own lighthouse?
you know, it could be. It could also just be his own desire, driven by the need to do something.
He mentioned his final entry. He mentioned the light. It is failing me. He had already hidden the handheld lantern away by that point, and he had made numerous references to the fact that the light, which I am presuming is from the beacon here, he talked about how it was flickering more and more as time passed. I think someone sabotaged this, but at the same time, it was not him. I think it was someone else.
I think we need to be very careful when traveling by water.
Yeah, I don't like water.
It's a good point. We have to go across that water to get back.
Is the water.
Exactly.
I don't. don't need to go. Can't go, can't stay here.
Let's say we need to get off the island before it gets dark.
Yeah, agreed.
The wind howls across the open water, carrying the salty sting of the sea as the small rowboat rocks with the force of each wave. The lighthouse fades into the distance behind you, a looming shadow against the darkening sky. And for a moment, only the sound of the rhythmic splash of oars dipping into water, pulling the boat ever closer to the mainland. But the silence is uneasy. The sea is never truly still here, and something is watching from the dark depths below. Arise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here. We are back for another episode of our Vaesen stream. This one is called Witching Hour. This is episode 3, and it's called something, that's for sure. Whispers on the Wind. That's what it's called. So, as always, if you guys like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is over on our Patreon, link in the description down below. While you're down there, click on that Discord link, join us in the Discord, be a part of the community, be a part of the conversation, and as always, in the bottom right-hand corner, there is the corruption bar. That bar serves two purposes. One is when that bar fills, I unleash horrible things, and as of right now, I have 4 horrible things to unleash. You can make that 5. And second, every single dollar that goes into that bar goes back to these wonderful, amazing faces that you see here before you. That being said, you've already been recapped. So, we start today's scene as the tense, perhaps, scene on the rowboat comes to an end, where you saw strange rippling visions and a bump that threatened to overturn the boat and strange looming clouds and the sound of crying on the wind. All of that fades back to normal, and you see a gray, overcast sky, that gray-blue ocean stretching out before you, and getting smaller and smaller is the lighthouse as you row back to the shores of New Arkham. And with a thud and a scrape, the boat scrapes up onto the rocky beach, and you're back in town. All of you a little worse for the wear. What are the 4 of you doing?
Well, we need to get that chest back to the mansion, right? Hide that out, the lantern and all that.
Sure.
Yes. Winifred is kind of clutching the blanket that was given to her by the doctor with the crude and maybe not so much runes inscribed all over it, with like a broken ink pen kind of look.
I worked
But
so
she
hard
is
on that.
clutching it to her as if it is a suit of armor, and she's in the middle of a battle.
Harold's gonna be like, okay. And he kind of like backs away as if he was gonna take the blanket back, but then he's kind of realizing, all right. And he's gonna try to help Enzo with the chest to get it off the rowboat. And by help, I mean like, the thing that we all do when we're the middleman and moving a bed and we're like not actually doing anything. That's what he's gonna do. He's just gonna be like, oh my god, this is so heavy.
Now, remind me, the last place that I remember the lantern being was in the possession of one Virginia Dalloway. Is it back in the trunk?
That's right. She was like headed on a backpack or something, right?
Oh, I think I wrapped it, put it in the bag, and then I feel like we put it somewhere else again. I remember this being like the inception level of layers here, and there was like layers upon layers upon layers of this lantern, and then Virginia was just basically carrying this onion.
I'm fairly certain it's on Virginia.
On your Virginia. Virginia's the last
It
person
is.
to have it. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. It's wrapped up and in the bag, and I have the bag.
Yeah, I think we grabbed the chest because it has the runes on it. And we
Yeah.
was thinking that might be a little bit safer if we have to leave the mansion and leave it behind. We can at least stick it in this box that's supposedly been protecting it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean the mansion, Covencrest Manor, is like a 30 or 40 minute walk from here, with a large trunk. So anyone who would like to go can do so. There are resources back there for you as well.
Yeah, I would go with whoever is taking the trunk back. I would go with that individual. Again, pretending to help, not really, but just kind of.
I am a woman of means. Can I hire a carriage?
You could. Yeah,
take us
absolutely.
back?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No
I
need
will
for
do
rolling or
that.
anything. That you have enough resources and enough like monetary value here. You can So you you head up the docks, and so you're on like a little like an inlet. Or not an inlet, but like a small, like jutting peninsula, right, of like rocky sand. And there are huge docks to your right hand side where there are boats moored there. Shipping lanes kind of abound here from Newport to Providence and farther parts south and north. And you head up into the town, and the town is a bustle. There are dock workers and sailors and, longshoremen and midshipmen, etc., all in the dock, sort of moving things to and from warehouses. There are carts pulling things, and you kind of all walk past all of the hustle and bustle of what is the docks, and into the town proper. Now, this leads up away from the docks, kind of up and onto a not exactly a ridge line, but up onto a hill, like a flattened hill, where you see houses and stores sort of spread out around here. And you can head up toward like the main town square, essentially, where there would be taverns, the barber slash doctor in one, and you can fetch yourself a little horse and buggy to escort you, to carry you to Covencrest Manor. Are all of you going?
I would be going. As wherever the chest is going, I would go just to make sure it gets to a safe space.
Okay.
I think Enzo's gonna suggest like maybe we should all just take a moment, sit back, rest for a bit, have a drink, and maybe get rid of our conditions.
Yeah. So we do have another Vaesen game here on the channel, but let's go into a little bit of review for rules and new viewers. So in Vaesen, you can heal yourself by a couple of ways. And I think if everyone is traveling to Covencrest, I think this is a great way. First and foremost, you guys can use your memento to heal yourself for 2 conditions at any time you want, once per day, I believe, or once per session. However, once per day, you can all have a scene of rest. And as you trundle for a good 30 minutes via carriage up to the manor house, this can be your scene of rest. So whoever would like to can describe how this is restful, or all of you can add input if you'd like, as to how this scene is restful enough to help you recover your conditions. What does this scene look like as you ride this carriage up to Covencrest Manor?
I feel like Winifred she gets in, and as soon as she gets in, the door closes. Her whole demeanor just kind of sinks a little bit, and as though she's just realized how tense she's been trying to maintain that air of dignity and poise. And once we're in this sort of private space, she just sort of melts, and she leans her head back, and she pulls out the letters that were in the floorboard, and just sort of runs her fingers over the parchment with her eyes closed as she's sort of considering and meditating and losing herself into the thoughts of how she wants to proceed, what she wants to try to discover, to work further on uncovering what's happening here. And just that refocusing herself in sort of a calm state and feeling something that's as familiar as the texture of parchment and just running her fingers over that just sort of calms her and allows her to focus her thoughts and calm her emotions. You're muted.
I think you're muted.
I sure am, guys.
Speak up.
Enzo, how does this carriage ride calm you and help you heal 2 conditions?
I am going to take out one of those bottles of liquor. I'm going to crack it open and I'm going to take a swill off it. And I'm going to pass it around. First person I'm going to pass it to is going to be Winifred. And I'm going to say, you seem like you got a little bit spooked out there. Liquid courage helps. Kind of nudges the bottle in your direction.
She just kind of reaches out with her free hand without like actually looking.
Put it
Harold,
into
like-
your hand.
Harold like just pushes it towards her. Just
And she takes it and sort of takes a little tip of it and then takes a pull and then hands it back.
Oh, there's a drink.
Thank you, Enzo.
There was a time back when I was younger, I couldn't even get into the pit without a couple of pulls. It really calms the nerves.
I could certainly use all the calming I can get. Thank you.
Of course.
Is everyone else all right?
Are you?
Don't all answer at once.
It's the shock of it all.
You all saw what was in the water, right?
Yes.
Wasn't just me then. That's comforting, at least.
A little less comforting knowing we have to go back across there.
When we do, we shall be better armed. We shall know what we're walking into, much more than we did initially.
we'll take it one step at a time. Let's get this bad boy into the safe spot, and then maybe a little stroll into town will actually do everybody some pretty good. Get a little bit of mileage on your legs on them old kickers and get some air. I have teacher. What time is it?
Am I the teacher?
Yeah,
it
always.
is late afternoon before supper time.
It was a lot to endure on that island, but we made it out alive. Nobody went missing. And look at that. We got souvenirs. And I got a nice old chance to practice my old art. I used to be a pretty good artist back when I was a young whippersnapper. I used to be able to throw down with the what would you call them? Where are we? Where are we going? What? Where are we going again?
We're going back to the society's home.
Oh, right. To drop off the
The manor, yes.
yes, right, okay.
I think
Is that my
after
blanket?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is that my blanket?
You gave it to
Oh.
her, dear.
It is, yes. Yeah.
Oh,
She'll take it off and hand it back to him.
oh, thank you. Wow, I don't know who made this, but the drawing is
you.
atrocious.
Thank you, Harold.
Oh yeah, of course. And I look over to Virginia. This is mine.
Yes, Harold, you're the one that made it.
Of course I did. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. Top quality. I remember it like it was yesterday. Okay. And he kind of like leans back and he like pretends to rummage where his bag is and realizes, wait a second. Where's my bag? And then he just kind of looks around.
Harold, here, take a drink.
Oh, yes. I do need my medicine. Thank you. And then I just like knock it back without realizing what it was. And then he's just going to go wide eyed, like, oh, that is not my medicine. And then I pass it back to Enzo. It is good, though. It's very nice, but I can see fumes.
Virginia, how is this ride relaxing for you and helping you recuperate?
I think she's just taking the moment to sit silently, watching her companions do their thing. at one point she's going to pull something out of uh, a pocket, so to speak, and you just see her rubbing her thumb over it and just looking down, and it's a picture of a man, um, whom you would all know to be Charles. Um, and she just sits there calmly, decompressing as she looks at this picture, calming to herself down.
Um, Winifred will kind of hesitate and just reach out very awkwardly and pat Virginia's shoulder, like trying to be comforting, but having absolutely no like ability to convey empathy. It's just kind of like,
All I can think of is
Thanks.
that scene of Liz Lemon, and
yes, it is. It is the broom. Jack holding the broom and patting Liz Lemon on the back of it. That is exactly it.
I think Virginia would just offer like an understanding smile, like this is not her forte and she gets it.
So, I suppose we have enough daylight that we can all find something to do to look into this matter further. I feel like my best bet will be to go to the Redwood Library at Antonium and see what I can discover about the entities that have been rumored in this area through folklore and the like. See if I can find out what Martha may have made her deal with.
I'm gonna be in town, talk to my people, see who may have known what's his name, this lighthouse keeper, and maybe know a little more about this legends, this girl, to see if this is something that's happened before. I don't recall hearing about it in my ears here, but possibly someone out there who does.
Winifred, you would also know that the Covencrest Manor has a rather extensive library. A private collection, but a rather extensive library that is open to you.
In that case, I believe I will start there, and if I cannot find what I need, then I will go to the Athenaeum. And Elijah Pruitt is the fellow's name.
Enzo,
Virginia,
you
I'm sorry.
No.
Pardon me, Miss Dalloway. Is
Yes.
there somewhere something you can do to tune into the mystical ends of things?
There are a number of things I could probably do. A seance being one of them, though I don't know that I would prefer to perform that alone. Uh, I was thinking
I'd like to be there if you do that.
of course, you are always welcome, Winifred.
Fascinating business.
I also thought I might check in with the local town priest. I know it's not usual, but perhaps he might have some insight into spiritual entities that could cause things like this to happen.
And Doctor?
Huh? Yeah. What? Oh. Meeny, miny. I think I'm gonna go to the. Virginia, do you mind if I tag along and we can? I'd like to see some beautiful paintings in the church, and I have a little bit of a business there that I need to do for myself. If you don't mind me, if you don't mind this old bag of bones tagging along a little bit.
Of course, you're always welcome, Harold.
Sounds good. And I don't want to lose sight of. And then he kind of does a little swirly, pointy thing to the bag.
bag.
He's like, that's mine, right? I'm not mistaken. That is. Mine?
That is yours,
Right.
Harold.
It looked familiar. Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
As the conversation continues, you see the ridge line and the trees and the town sort of move past as you ascend up to the cliffs where Covencrest Manor is. The large wrought iron gates greet you, and you see somebody bearing them open as you enter into the grounds. You see the prestigious house set atop the cliffside, sort of abutting into the fog out there. You see lights on, candles rather, and as is relative custom, the front door swings inward, and you see Niles, the caretaker of the estate. You see him step outside, one hand curtly folded behind his back as he has a short conversation with the footman and opens the door to let the four of you out and onto the grounds of the home. And he looks to all of you and says, "How has the investigation been?"
Illuminating. And I will turn and pay the carriage driver and give him a reasonable tip. And then turn to Niles. "I will be in the library." And she just unceremoniously turns and walks into the house.
There she is. Harold will point as she walks away. There.
Niles will hesitate for a second, being probably of similar age, but ultimately lift his hand up to you, Harold, to assist you down from the carriage.
He kind of like looks at the hand for a minute, goes, What are you doing?
You looked like you needed a hand.
I smack his hand away. Yeah, get out of here. And then I try to
Good man.
I walk on myself, but I kind of stumble a little bit and then like trip on the last step, and then I like try to like catch myself and go and I like dart my eyes at Niles.
Virginia and Enzo, you notice that as soon as Harold stumbles, Niles takes a slight step in the opposite direction, as if to let him fall. And then he raises his hand to help Virginia down.
Thank
Son
you.
of a bitch, motherfucker. And I walk away.
Mr. Enzo.
Niles, does our manor here have some sort of safe room? Someplace we lock up things that might be valuable, dangerous?
Yes. Is there something I should be aware of?
We just have something of questionable that is connected to what's happening that we need to keep out of sight, out of mind. Winifred and Virginia know more about it, but I just feel safer if it was placed behind a wall, preferably a wall made of iron.
Yes, I can take that for you if you'd like. And he reaches out to take what he presumes to be the chest you're talking about.
Well, we still need... Just lead me to it, and I need to get something from Virginia.
Yes. I'll be inside. Come find me when you're ready. And he bids you adieu and begins to head off, and you see the carriage takes the cul-de-sac essentially back out and down towards the town, leaving the three of you outside on the grounds to discuss or go wherever you'd like.
Get this thing nice and safe, Virginia?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Don't want little Miss Ghosty wandering up here and start rifling through our rooms.
Jason, do you watch the show? That's that's kind of my jam.
Stay away from my room, Mr. Ghosty. All right. So I had my headphones on. Did we? I missed the last part. Did we say we're leaving? Are we leaving the lantern here or anything? Or
Yeah, it's the plan.
Yeah.
Okay,
Throw
cool.
it, throw it in the box and then throw it in the safe or whatever they got here.
That's what I figured. I just wanted to make sure. I had to. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm back. I'm good.
I think the audience is trying to kill you.
What? Why?
I have 7 corruption bars.
Jesus.
Listen, you just wait a couple of years and I'm just relax. All right. Chill but don't chill. But at the same
He'll die
time,
on
like,
his
give us,
own.
you know what I'm saying? Like, give us a break.
What are you doing with the lantern, Virginia? You currently have it.
Yes.
What are you guys doing with that?
I think we should go inside first and then perhaps keep it in the blanket that Harold so graciously crafted. Wrap it up, put it in the box, put it in a safe.
Do we have like is there a way to not repair but like makeshift a lock on the chest with the stuff that we have in the manor?
Perhaps Niles can do it. I don't think any of you have the technical know-how to be a locksmith, especially when I believe Enzo sort of popped that off with a crowbar.
Yeah.
Yeah, was it an embedded lock or a padlock?
It was an embedded lock. It's part of the
Okay,
chest.
yeah.
Yeah, like a luggage thing.
We have some
you-
duct tape or something.
You think somebody may be able to fix it, but it will take some time, and it is beyond your collective skill.
Got it. All right.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So the three of you head inside, sort of following the unceremonious exit of one Winifred Blaylock, and you enter into the house. A house you've been in many times. There is a large opening, a sitting room off to your left, a small dining room off to your right. There's a large staircase up in the center. You know that the butler's pantry and kitchen are out behind the staircase, servants' quarters below. Libraries and other miscellaneous rooms are on the upper floor, and sort of just around. It's almost a maze. It's very Winchester House, right? And so the three of you enter into the home, and shortly thereafter, Niles closes the door behind you, and he looks expectantly at Enzo and says, "The object in question."
Yeah, let's get this done. Virginia?
Yep. She goes into her bag, very, very carefully, pulls it out, still wrapped up.
And into the box and into the safe.
Okay. Niles leads you through the hallways behind the stairs into the kitchen, and you see a large arched oak door with like banded iron. He opens that, and you have a gust of cold air as he enters down into the cellar. Once you get down there, you see that he has off a shelf, he pulls a candle and quickly lights that. Leading down here, you see large barrels of what you presume to be wine or food stocks or something of the kind. And he leads you through a series of tunnels to what would look like almost like a dungeon is down here. And he leads you to one room in particular that is just lined with shelves. And the shelves have various boxes and knickknacks and bric-a-brac on them. And he leads you to one shelf in particular and kind of motions for you to put it on there. And you note that that shelf is currently empty.
All right, I dropped it off.
Okay.
You're making me nervous with how long this is taking, Mike.
Listen, I'm
And then a
just
pressure plate.
I'm just giving you a description of what's happening so you know when I take it away. Anyway,
I don't like the way you described you describing. That was even more ominous.
Weird, Paul.
Wait, Nigel's there, right? Niles. Okay, Niles. No, not
Yeah.
Niles. I'm gonna look over to Niles and just be like, as the chest moves, Harold goes to Niles and goes, "Ooh, don't touch that lantern."
I shan't.
Good. You what?
I shan't. I shall
Oh, sorry.
not.
I thought I heard something else. I thought you had to use the bathroom or something. Okay.
No.
And then
This way. And he closes the door behind the two of you and leads you back out the way you came. Miss Dalloway, it is a few minutes that they are gone. What are you doing?
I am waiting patiently. She would have started wandering around, waiting for them to return.
Good. You stand in the main foyer, to which, on one side of the door, is a large standing mirror. For one last glimpse of yourself before you leave the home, to make sure everything's where it should be. All the things are in the places they should be. And whether you're trying not to, or trying to, or just sort of wandering around, you happen to catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror. Or at least you catch a glimpse of something in the mirror. You see something move and shift just enough to catch your eye out of the corner, and you turn to see what this is. This is going to be our first of 7 corruption bars. You catch your reflection, and you watch as the layers of your skin bubble and start to droop. You see your skin start to slowly slump, and your eye sort of dips down, they cloud over. And as you open your mouth, just water pours out of your mouth. Your skin becomes that gray kind of pallid color, and you see bubbles and a bug across out of your mouth into your eye and is gone. As you try to bring your hand up to see what is happening, you see that your hand pockmarked, bubbling, this blue, green, gray sort of skin of the drowned dead. You see that your hair is covered in seaweed, and you see a small, from underneath the hem of your, not the hem, the shoulder of your dress, a small crab across your neck to the other side. And you smell seaweed, or ocean spray, and rot. What are you doing at this moment?
I'm trying to scream, but the sight of seeing water pouring out of my mouth is making me choke instead. I'm
Perfect.
just gagging, falling to my knees, gagging on this water.
I will give you an option here. You can make one of 2 rolls. You can either roll a fear check or a fear test and see how terrified you are, or you can roll observation. Observation will come with it some of your seance-y ghost speech abilities, which could be worse.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with observation.
Yeah. Perfect. Go ahead and roll me observation.
Ooh.
That's the number we like. That's the number we want to see on this side of the screen. Hell yeah, dude. Cool. You go to scream, and there is that gurgle of something in your mouth. Your scream is quite literally caught in the back of your throat as you begin to... And you feel the air caught in your throat. You feel the burning of your lungs as you realize no more air is getting in or out of your body. You sort of begin to claw and pull at yourself, and perhaps there are like scratch marks on your neck, and in the mirror you begin to see, as your fingers dig in, the skin just pushes and sloughs away as this wet skin just begins to pull down as ribbons of your flesh begin to fall away until you see this dark, stained brown, not even blood anymore at this point, just ichor, as you begin to pull away at this, as you are collapsed onto your knees, heaving and trying to get a single breath in this moment. And you look at your face one last time as the spots of light blink in the corner of your eyes and your vision starts to go hazy. And you realize that the face before you is not your own. The face before you is that of a man. You realize that the garb they are wearing is also different, that of a sailor. You seem to be possessed by some sort of ghostly entity that you have brought back from the ocean. Enzo, Harold, You make your way back upstairs through the kitchens as light conversation happens with the stoic Niles, who deposits you, or begins to, or intends to, as it were, deposit you back in the main foyer so you may do whatever you would like. Except you see him stop in front of you as he leads you back through the house. And he sort of reaches over and grabs the side of the grand staircase that sort of sits there and steadies himself, a move you've never seen Niles do. He's the steadiest man you've seen before. And he looks out and... and you see him start to move forward quickly. What are the two of you doing?
Everything okay there, Niles?
I don't believe so. And you see him move quickly towards the front of the house, towards the front stairs, and he takes a knee, and you can see that he was blocking out. You see that he is kneeling beside Virginia, who is on her knees, grabbing at her throat and making strange choking noises.
I run up next to Niles, and Enzo, come on, we gotta look. And I would run up and try to I'm not gonna touch Virginia, but I'm gonna like slide next to her and see if there's any kind of physical blockage that could be causing this stress, or as just the first thing to do as for my medical experience.
Yeah, go ahead and roll me medicine.
Oh shit, I gotta roll. I forgot.
And you have your medicine bag on you, so you get a +2 to medicine.
Okay.
I'd like to restrain her while he's doing this so she doesn't get in the way of what he's doing.
Yeah. You can go ahead and you know what? She's kind of distraught. You can just pull her hands away, and as you do, you see that there are red fingernail scratch marks in her neck.
That's some bullshit. I'm a terrible doctor.
Outstanding. You can push. So as a reminder, to push, you can roll again, but you will take a condition.
Hell yeah! Actually, no. Fuck that. I'm a push.
Okay.
Do I still get my +2, or
you still get your +2? Yep. So just re-roll that roll.
And I take a condition, right?
And then afterwards, you'll take a condition.
Oh, afterwards. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
One
Worth
success.
it.
Cool.
Worth.
So medicine is a physical condition. They actually changed the rules. You may take any condition you'd like here. So what condition does Harold take in this moment?
I'd like to take a wounded.
You'd like to take wounded. Okay. I would like to know why.
I feel like in his midst of panic...
Yeah.
Right? He would be kind of a little less careful and rummaging through to figure out what stuff there is. And in the process of that, perhaps he's banging around. Maybe there's an open blade in his bag because he's an idiot and doesn't know how to control and maintain his equipment. And in doing so, maybe he slices open a little bit and then tries to it's like a panic that normally isn't. Harold is a little manic, but there's a little order to his chaos. But
Yeah.
this is very much someone that is in my group is physically being hurt, and I just saw something happen to Winifred less than a few hours ago, so now that stress is adding up. So so he probably would hurt him, so trying to get the tools out.
And this is the second time Virginia has had some sort of interaction of this kind. You fumble through your medicine bag and pull back a bleeding palm as you do so. Quickly sort of wrap a bandage around that so it's not making a mess here. And you begin to assess Virginia. Now that her hands are restrained by Enzo, you see that there are small, surface level lacerations on her throat where she was scratching at herself. But by all accounts, there is nothing. Her mouth is open. You can see clear airway. There's nothing blocking her throat. But the sounds she's making indicate choking. The reaction she's doing at her neck indicates choking. And you can see that her eyes have gone a little hazy, as if she is slowly going to pass out from asphyxiation.
Ah, shit. Okay. So just so that I understand, from a medical standpoint, I know that there's nothing physically wrong with her.
There's nothing physically wrong, but she still looks like she's about to pass out from asphyxiation, as if something is choking her.
Niall, go get something to lay her down, and I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna look around me to see if there's anything that looks sharp or anything missed out of place or anything at all that I think could have caused some sort of reaction, maybe an open blade on a table or anything around the environment that could have caused this. I'm gonna start looking around frantically.
Yeah. So Niles runs off. You see him grabbing a pillow, and he opens an armoire, grabs a blanket, and slowly begins coming back. You are looking around, and you see through one of the windows on the side of the large door a woman standing in the main garden, the front garden of the Covencrest Manor. A woman in a gray, white gown, you're not entirely sure, standing there, long hair, sort of, almost as if she had just taken a bath, right? The long hair sort of cascades down, down her front and down her back, and you can see that she's not in like a dress that you'd wear, like to town. She's in maybe petticoats, a nightgown, perhaps. You're not entirely sure. You're not up on women's fashion. But she's definitely not wearing something you'd wear outside. And you can see that she is barefoot. And she is staring directly at you.
Fuck me. All right. Harold, in his midst of panic, is going to... I still have that map that has the ruins written on it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to remember that the ruins, there's a protective ruin. And I'm going to try to see if I can... wait, real quick. I assume the ruin on the map isn't that big, right? Like, it's probably just written as like a scratch.
I mean, yeah, it's like a hand drawn thing there, and you can draw the runes on the door, like on with whatever you have. They can be any size you want.
What were you saying?
I am sorry. Ruin is like a structure that's broken down. Rune is a symbol.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
I'm just in character. Don't worry. Harold's actually saying ruins. So fucking hell. What I want to do is I have that bloody palm from my cut from the bag. I'm gonna run up to the window and use my blood to draw the ruin. No, wait, I said it again. Oh, rune. I said it wrong again. How is that even possible? I want to draw the ruin.
Rune.
With my... You know what? I'm going to draw the sigil on the window.
Hey, there he is.
With the blood. And then try to, like, be as precise as I can. And I feel like I'd be pretty close to her, that ghosty bitch is. So I feel like I'd be really scared, but I don't know.
She is out. She is outside. You are separated by a building. You're not entirely sure how that affects her or you. But you quickly, as quickly as your old form can, launch yourself over Virginia and towards the window, and you kind of grab some of the blood from your from your open palm, and you trace this star in one consistent motion with the downward facing triangle and the few like waves beneath it as this symbol. And the entire time, that fear you were talking about, the moment your finger touches, she begins walking towards you. And you slide your finger up, slide your finger down. She's continuing walking towards you. And you see her hand reaching out towards you. As you slide your finger up, across, back down, you see her take the first stare to Covencrest as you draw the triangle. And you see, as you're drawing the lines, the hand begins to come through the glass and then dissipate.
So I'm assuming I noticed this by now, right?
You definitely notice him run across and start drawing in blood like a crazy person, for sure. Whether you see the ghostly hand or not. And you see, Harold, you see the hand start to pass through the glass, and the moment you finish the last line, it dissipates. And Enzo, if you're still at Virginia, you hear as breath fills your lungs, Virginia.
Good job, doctor.
I'm gonna just like sink to the floor and just like drop and just go, and I'm just like laying on the floor sideways, just like on the floor, just covering up the cut and be like, yep, all the day's work, yep.
Niles appears with some bandages ready to tend to your wound.
Yeah, I don't even look at him. I just like, okay, please. I'm
gonna picture Virginia up and bring her to like a couch or something.
Yeah, there is a nearby sitting room or reading room, and as long as Virginia's not resisting you, you're easily picked up and walked over to one of the like the day couches. Virginia, how you doing?
She is visibly shaken. I still don't think she's breathing correctly. She's still trying to catch her breath after that ordeal, and all she keeps saying is, there's a man," as she's like checking her body, trying to catch her breath still.
So you're saying there's a man in the house who attacked you?
He was he was here, and she just kind of like pats at herself, uh, like I was possessed.
So what, another ghost?
I think so, yes.
But he's not here now. He's gone.
She just shakes her head. I don't think he's here anymore. I think once Harold drew that rune, everything just stopped.
All right. You're gonna be safe here if I leave you? I'm gonna walk around and make sure there's no other things walking around.
I think so, yes.
All right. Need anything, just yell. And then Enzo's gonna go just patrol, look out every window, look in every closet, just making sure there's no ghosts hiding in the corner.
I love that. So Enzo, you exit the house. Is that what you're doing?
I'm going around the house first.
Okay.
Like in the house.
Cool. So yeah, we see the camera follows Enzo as you move through the house, checking open doors, windows, pantries, all the hidden like staff nooks and crevices in between the walls and that kind of thing. As you make your way through the house, and you find no evidence of any kind of intruder, no physical evidence of any sort of man that may have accosted Miss Dalloway. But as you walk through the corridors and hallways of the house, we will transition. We'll come back to you, don't worry. We'll transition into whatever room we find Winifred in.
Winifred is seated or no, she's actually not seated. She's standing in the library. She's sort of centered herself in it, and she's looking around at the different stacks and sections, trying to figure out where she wants to start. Folklore. And she heads over to a section that would contain stories of local folklore.
Okay, roll me, I believe it is going to be, I want to say it's going to be learning, but it could be investigation. Let me see here. Find information with learning. Yeah, so you can go ahead and make me a learning check to see what you're able to find here. And you will get a +2 for your book collection.
Thank you. Yes. I want to push it.
Okay.
And let's see, for condition.
You can take the condition afterwards.
Oh, okay. So I roll again, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. There we go. Okay.
Hell yeah. 2 successes. Outstanding. You begin to parse through the library. You easily find time goes by, right? You easily find a handful of local legends. None of them are this one, right? But you do find local legends that are similar enough that like stick out in your brain as maybe this is useful. The first one you find is, and these are in like journals, kind of like your hunter journals, right? These are in journals and in like footnotes of books kept by the society. The first,
for the sake of the viewers, I am specifically looking for any sort of stories of beings or entities from this area who would prey on people who were vulnerable or had a broken heart or were under emotional duress, things like that, things that would try to seek out vulnerable people to make deals with them.
ooh, interesting. You're trying to find out who she made the pact with.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. So you
And now I threw one at you.
you know what? This is gonna come with a consequence. Okay, cool. So you parse through a bunch of information here. You find a number of local legends that you tangentially related, but not exactly what you're looking for, right? There is the Wailing Bride of Stillwater Mill, which is a local textile town, an hour or so north of here. That talks about a heartbroken and humiliated woman who threw herself into the river, becoming entangled in the mill's machinery, and thus haunting that place, wailing and unnatural river stuff happening there. There's something about drowned sailors in Nipsachuk Bay, something about a witch of Manitou Lake, which is locally known as the Dreaming Lake. Bells and musical sounds inside the Blackstone Cliffs, things of that nature, right? That you end up finding, and then you find a book. And everything about this book is irresistible to you, in that it is covered in dust. The pages look like they haven't been opened in centuries. And everything about the outside of this book looks like you should have nothing to do with it, ever.
I pull the book off the shelf.
Yeah, you do. You open this book. No title on the spine, no title on the cover. The book itself is almost bland. And its blandness is what draws you to this. You've seen books and journals, and it's even a journal somebody scribes something into. There is no identifying marks on this book that would tell you what this is. You open the inside cover, there's no initials, there's no, property of, there's nothing of the kind. And you begin to flip through this, and every page turns, creaks, and cracks. And they're all blank. But something about this keeps you flipping and flipping and flipping. And the camera sees Winifred Blaylock here in the library turning these pages as the sky darkens outside the window. As time passes, an unknown amount of time. And finally, you see just a few words tucked away, one of the pages, maybe 3/4 of the way through. You see what looks like a sentence, a fragment of a sentence, a poem? You're not entirely sure. But you see the words, gaze through the mist. Something about reading that fills you with dread. and you know it to be important.
He very carefully closes the tome and takes it back over to the shelf and places it back and runs her finger down the spine just to see if there's any texture to it, like perhaps there may have at one point been something written on the spine or etched on it.
You run your finger down, and the only texture you feel is the dust rolling up under your finger.
What material is the book covered in? Is it leather, fabric, cloth?
It definitely feels like it's a leather.
A leather. With my knowledge of antiques and things of the like, can I identify what kind of leather this is? My immediate thought is this human?
It's a good thought. It's a good thought to have. Yeah, you can roll me another learning, I think.
Okay.
See if you ever encountered this kind of material before.
Any bonus?
No bonuses for that one.
Okay. Nope.
Unfortunately, this is unlike anything. It's soft, it's supple, but it doesn't have it has the look of leather, but none of like the subtle qualities, the subtle textures of it.
I'm going to do one last thing, and it's weird. But there's purpose. She's going to pull it back out, and she kind of pauses and looks at it for a moment, and then brings it to her mouth and just tastes, just gives it, taps her tongue to it, just the slightest lick to taste, because I'm curious if it has any sort of briny taste to it, or anything that might help identify the provenance of this tome.
Interesting. The tip of your tongue snaps out, and you taste the edge of the binding of this book. And it tastes like the bile that rises in the back of your throat when you are seethingly mad. Not a taste you've ever tasted from leather before.
I was going to remove the book at this point and put it with her collection.
Okay. You do so. And our second corruption bar may seem a little innocuous. As you move through the library, you notice you feel the weight shift, and the book slips out of whatever binding you had it in, or out from under your arm, and clatters to the ground. And as you look down, you see that same page, except this time it has more. It says, "I am the gaze through the mist, seeing what others cannot."
I am the gaze in the mist,
Through the
seeing
mist.
what others from the mist,
Through.
seeing what others through.
Yeah. I'll put
Through
it
the
in chat
mist,
for you.
seeing what others cannot. I'm sure that's fine.
I'm sure you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And I think we transition from here, outside of the window, to where we find Enzo patrolling the grounds. Enzo, what are you doing out there? What are you doing out there?
Looking for a ghost to punch.
Yeah.
I'm just wandering back and forth and just trying to observe and be vigilant and make sure that if something's out there, I know it's there.
Yeah, go ahead and roll me vigilance. One success.
Hey, I did it.
Outstanding. Outstanding. You make your way around the grounds, keeping a weathered eye on the house, looking at all the mirrors, seeing if not the mirrors, the windows, seeing if anything moves inside there that ought not to. You take a look at the grounds, the gardens, the hedgerows, the forest that extends down, and the cold afternoon sort of sets in, the pre-night sets in as there's like a mist hanging in the air from the overcast, and you make your way through the landscape of Covencrest Manor, eventually making your way to the back, where you see sitting areas and hedge mazes and all the like, and you are drawn towards the edge of the cliff that overlooks the bay, overlooks the lighthouse. And you see, or hear, rather, grunting and the sound of metal hitting stone seems to be coming from just over the cliff.
Like further down the cliff?
Like if you're standing at the cliffside, you can't see it. But perhaps if you leaned over it.
Okay, I'll, secure myself, grabbing something that's nearby, and then lean over and see who's trying to mine for gold in our cliff or whatever's going on down there.
Yeah. You steady yourself, and you lean just enough to get your eyesight over the edge of the cliff. And you see no less than half a dozen men, you presume, scaling the cliff. The sound you're hearing is the hammer strikes of their, the blows of their hammers striking pythons into the side of the cliff face. You see them throwing rope further down, another clink cling, as another spike enters into the face of the cliff here. And you see 6 people are scaling the walls.
Okay, about how far down are they?
They seem to be about 25 feet at this point.
Okay, so they got a little work.
They have a little bit of ways to go.
I'm gonna yell down at them, and I'm like, "Can I help you, gentlemen?"
You see the first one, the highest one, right? Look up to you, and in an instant, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you have found the man that Virginia was speaking of. The person that looks up to you, you see their sallow gray skin, their vacant white eyes, and it opens its mouth and just water begins to run through this. As you see its hand reach up, and you see black veins all throughout it as it bangs something else into this thing and begins to climb the wall or the cliff towards you.
Is there anything nearby? He says like a sitting area, like a marble bench, something big and unwieldy that I'd like to lift up and just kind of drop on top of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure. I will say the lightest human carryable thing would probably be like a marble, or not a marble, but a like a big ceramic, like a flower pot, right? So you can sort of grab one of those, hoist those up, those big stone flower basins. Roll me a force. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, so describe to me what it looks like as you hoist this up and throw it down the cliff.
Enzo quickly moves away, grabs the nearest largest thing he can find, lifts it, gets back as fast as he can, looks down at whichever one's in the lead of this little climbing pack, and just, all right, and just drops it right on his head. And hopefully that's enough to knock his ass off the cliff.
You're muted.
Fuck me, I'm muted. You drop this thing, and you see it begin to rotate with the weight and shape of this thing. The bottom part is lighter than the top part, full of dirt, and it begins to tumble, and you see it hit the side of the cliff and begin to, like, scrape and almost shatter. And you watch this thing sort of disintegrate as it tumbles down the cliff, breaking into a bunch of stone pieces. And there is nothing there. Perhaps nothing was ever there.
Okay, so nothing there is in like sploosh, but
Yeah,
just
no.
nothing there is
No,
like,
you're still
like
on the
tripping
ground.
balls.
There is
Okay.
no one. There are no 6 men climbing. There's no sign. There's no ropes. No pythons. Nothing was ever there.
Mm-hmm. All right, I go back to patrolling the grounds with a special eye on the cliff.
Okay. You make your way around the grounds and eventually back towards the front of the house, seeing nothing else to indicate any sort of ghostly invasion. We cut back inside to Virginia and Harold. What are the two of you doing? How are you doing?
Not
Harold-
great.
Harold is leaning against the wall where he fell, and kind of like a little bit of dry blood around him. And with the undamaged arm, he uses his non-dominant arm to grab the semi-fine wine from his. Well, actually, I guess he wouldn't be near. I'm gonna go back to my bag
Mhm.
and get the semi-fine wine, and then go back to the spot that I was and sit back down to where I was, and then uncork it, and then drink a little bit of the semi-fine wine. And in doing so, I'm gonna like lean over and just semi shout across the room. Are you doing all right?
Virginia is going to immediately get up, move over to Harold, and slump on the ground next to him, grab the bottle of wine, and take a sip.
Yeah, sure, you can have some. That's fine. Do you want to talk about what happened?
She's just going to word vomit everything she saw at
Harold was
Harold.
not prepared for that, and he's just kind of like doing one of those like, yeah, okay, and he's just gonna like, kind of like, ugh, in, that mirror, and he like points to the, what I assume will be the only mirror, but I don't know what is actually around us. So I'm gonna point at the mirror that was closest to her when she went onto her knees.
Yeah, that mirror.
Harold gets up, and he's gonna make his way towards the mirror. But before he gets, he's gonna just get 1 minute, and he's gonna like make his way towards the mirror, awkwardly trying to dodge as if a reflection is a physical thing that you can dodge. When you're playing FPS games, you're kind of like, ooh, right? So he's gonna do one of those things, and he's just kind of like slowly peek in, and then kind of like, have the courage and just go, oh, and like try to see if like he looks directly into the mirror.
Everything looks normal, Harold. It's your own reflection, reflecting the room around you back to you.
Just gotta fix up the hair a little bit. Okay. All right. And he turns around and he looks back. And then, just in case, is there like a rag or some sort of like cloth or anything around that I can grab?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna grab a rag or a cloth that might be around, and I'm just gonna shyly cover the mirror, and then walk my way back to Virginia, and sit right next to her again, and just, well, whatever was there, or may have been there, or may not have been there, or could have been there, is no longer there. So I think you're okay now, but I feel like you might be edging on the edge of the line a little too close. So, maybe we just be a little careful moving forward now. This is, we don't want you in a particular situation where we wouldn't be able to help you. Are you feeling like any more pressure? Are you feeling anything different?
Nothing. I mean, I'm feeling better thanks to you, Harold. but I feel like now is not the time to start shying away. We've got to get closer.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no. Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, okay, yeah. I think we can definitely do that. Just, I just be careful, Virginia. That's all I ask. And don't look at any more mirrors. Yeah. Um all right. Maybe we should go find Winifred, see what that crazy bat is doing in the room by herself. God knows if you leave her alone with a bunch of books, we may never see her. So, are you good to get up, move around a little bit?
Yes, I'm good. Let's go find Winifred.
Okay, I'm gonna stand up and offer a hand to help Virginia up, and then shuffle along like an old man.
As the two of you get up and begin to step away, the door behind you opens, and serendipitously, there is Enzo.
Got some ghost mountain climbers out there, zombie mountain climbers. I'm not sure which.
So-
I took care of them.
I'm sorry, what? You said this so casually.
Well, I mean, they're gone now. I'm just saying that the what this like this lantern thing here. I think they're coming. I mean, you're coming after it. Like, so we just might have to expect it. I mean, I just dropped a big pot on them and they disappeared. So they weren't too dangerous apparently.
You dropped a pot on a bunch of mountain climbing ghost zombies?
Yeah, it was the only thing around.
Okay. I think I'm gonna get something to drink. And then Harold is just gonna he doesn't give a fuck which direction. He's just walking in a direction. And is gonna look for anything to drink. Maybe my bottle of semi-fine wine again.
Yeah, you take a minute to look as you look around. You head towards the kitchen and realize that in one hand you have your bag, and in the other hand you have the uncorked bottle of semi-fine wine. And realize that it's probably easier to just drink from that than it is to find something else around here. So you take a few pulls from your semi-fine wine. It's delicious.
I'm just gonna take a breather, take a couple minutes to recoup myself, and I'm just gonna chill. It's a lot to digest right now. Harold's feeling a little overwhelmed. He needs to chill for a bit.
Okay. As the three of you collect yourselves in the opening, the grand foyer of the Covencrest Manor, Winifred, what are you doing? You have found a mysterious book and some information about local legends relating to sadness and sorrow and the water. What are you up to?
Winifred is going to walk over to one of the windows that overlooks the bay, and she's going to stand at the window for a while and just sort of stare out at the water and the path that they've come across, and rack her mind to try to think if she has ever heard of anything referring to looking through the mists, seeing through the mist, anything like that. Trying to find some means of making a connection.
Interesting.
And she's going to reach out and just start drumming her fingers on the window impatiently, just getting more and more frustrated with herself.
What is the deepest, darkest hole of supernatural that your obsession with the truth has found you in?
Like are you asking like an action?
Yeah, so you have your motivation is to prove that this is real. And
Yes.
so in your thirst for knowledge and the proof, what is the deepest and darkest place you found yourself in? whether that is some strange occult library or just a hole of book-bound depression. What's the furthest you've slipped into supernatural research?
There is at the Athenaeum. There is a chest that was brought to us from unknown providence. This is the chest that, when opened, released or summoned, somehow brought into existence the entity that killed Reginald, her assistant. And after her husband left her, she found herself down in the basement in the Athenaeum, standing in front of that chest. And she opened it again because she didn't get a chance to look inside before. So she opened it, trying to find what was in there. And she has no memory of what was inside. All she remembers is the sound of it slamming shut and seeing her hands just skeletal white, absolutely drained of blood, resting on top of it. And she realized how much she was risking at that moment, trying to get an answer. That in that moment, she had no concern for her welfare or anyone else who might have been in the building at that time. And that relentless pursuit had completely blinded her to the fact that her actions had consequences.
Awesome. You stand in the library, drumming your fingers against the window, looking out. Perhaps you see a retreating Enzo as he makes his way back across the lawn. And we're taken back to a moment of a mere few hours ago where Miss Dalloway had mentioned that she felt the sorrow and the sadness that this woman, this Martha, felt. And that all she wanted, all she longed for was the love of this person who we don't know what happened to them. And you said you have, because she killed so many, you have trouble feeling empathy for this woman, but that you're glad that Miss Dalloway can. And in this moment, your eye begins to throb as if you had a headache. Except you know that there is no eye, no stalk, no nerves to twinge and have that headache. And in this moment, in your frustration, you are drawn back to that moment in the bowels of the Athenaeum. And for maybe even the briefest of moments, you understand and you have the empathy for how somebody could get so far from the path of what is good and right and be willing to do almost anything to get what they want. And you understand the state of mind of Martha.
As it hits her, she rears back a fist and punches the window as hard as she can. Just full of rage.
Virginia, Enzo, Harold, you hear glass shatter.
I'm running
upstairs.
Virginia's running too.
I'm shuffling.
Perfect. Two of you get there pretty quickly. And you see It could be you, Harold. You don't know.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't-
I'm sure. That's fine, man. Fuck you.
Two of you get there pretty quickly. One of you gets there in their own time. And you see... actually, what do they see, Miss Winifred? What do they see?
There is... Standing in front of the window, you see Winifred's back to you. And you can see her arm sort of held out as if she's looking at something in her hand in front of her. And just to the side, or actually just to the side of the reflection where she's standing, right in the reflection where the eye patch sits, is a hole in the window. And you hear this sort of thick droplet sound, like some sort of thick viscous fluid hitting stone. And as if you approach, as you get close enough that you can sort of see over her shoulder, Winifred is just standing there with a bloody hand and fragments of glass sticking out between the tendons on the back of her hand. And she's just standing there glaring at it.
Another ghost.
Perhaps of the past.
It's been my experience that it's a little hard to punch ghosts. You end up hitting things like windows.
Sure, if anyone could do it, you could.
I'd like to think so. That experience has taught me better over time.
Has anyone found anything of value? Something that we can actually use instead of endless frustration piling on top of itself?
Winifred, why don't we get you cleaned up before we go into this? You're bleeding.
I'm fine.
Virginia's gonna walk up to her and grab her by the back of the arm and kind of like usher her to the nearest chair and have her sit down while we wait for Harold to make his
Yeah.
way.
There are several desks with that like those candles on there for like writing and reading into the night. And as you get her into the seat, Harold rounds the corner into the library proper, and you see Winifred being sat down into one of the tables with the blood dripping down her hand and a shard of glass.
Harold's gonna like run. He's gonna scurry in with what looks like a piece of plank that he just found running. He goes, "What's going on? What was that noise?" And he goes, "Oh." And I like toss the plank and I shimmy over to Winifred with my little medical bag and I like look at her. What happened here? And then he like points to your hand.
Accident.
Was the accident the glass meeting your fist or what?
Something like that. The accident was that I lost my temper. It will not happen again.
All right, okay. He like shifts his eye over to Virginia and he goes like, "What the fuck is going on?" Okay. And then he's gonna be like, "Well, let's get these glass shards out and let's get you patched up. At least, don't hit me." Okay. And then he'll take gingerly Winifred's hand and look through his bags and grab some pliers and like carefully and kind of surprisingly very like smoothly is starting to take the glass shards out. I don't actually know the medical procedures for this, so anyone that actually knows what happens when you get glass in your hands, please don't listen to me. But like I'm gonna pretend that I'm doing the right thing, and he's gonna start pulling and helping and bandaging it up and cleaning it, get some of that semi-fine wine and like damp it on a cloth and like eat away some of the bacteria, and then yeah. Is that right? Am I doing okay? Am I fucking this up?
Yeah,
Are we
yeah,
good? Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
Everyone's quiet. I'm just like, oh, someone's gonna say like, and then she got an infection, and then Harold got sued for malpractice, and then
And
I'm
so,
suing you
she-
for malpractice,
And then
Harold.
she dies of sepsis because
yeah.
How did you kill me?
No. That's all historically accurate on how to remove glass, as far as we're concerned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So no, I don't think you've rolled enough successful medicine today. No roll needed for that. You pull out the shards of glass from Winifred's hand and begin to bandage her up. Nothing was so deeply embedded that it would require stitches, but perhaps some tape or something like that to tape up the wound. Yeah, you have.
In the midst of bandaging her up. I'm not making eye contact with Winifred, but I kind of just in a lower tone feel like, so what pissed you off?
You're muted this time.
There is one thing that gets in the way of intellectual achievement, and that is emotion. I let my emotions get the better of me and thought about something I don't like to think about.
Okay. All right.
Martha, do we know anything more about her?
He just
No,
puts his
she's
head
not
down
happy.
and just keep wrapping her band-aid. Yeah, she doesn't seem very happy. Something happened to Virginia with the spooky. Woo, that was the whole thing. And then Enzo found mountain climbers or something that were climbing the hills, and he threw a chamber pot at them, I think. And
It was like a big vase.
oh,
But I think they were those sailors that she's been killing. I think they're kind of acting as her militia at this point.
yeah. Ooh. I mean, so something's happening here. It seems like we're stirring the pot. So Martha's definitely not happy. Do we think this is gonna get worse? Is it safe to leave the lantern here?
It would be best if we keep the lantern on us.
And are you sure we can't just smash it?
No. No, whatever this lantern is, it's pivotal, I think, to the curse that was laid on Martha's soul by something I believe I may have found a connection to.
Oh,
There is a certain danger in speaking names. We all understand this and agree, yes?
yes. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, names. Terrible.
Are all of you willing to hear something that could, in fact, have a negative effect on you?
For a split second, Harold looks at Virginia's neck, your hand, and then Enzo, and just imagines the pot. He's like, yeah, no, I'm all right.
Something, gaining something's attention, specifically. As is the possibility when you apply a name to something. It could be a name, it could be a moniker. I'm not certain. But I think it's worth mentioning the risk.
What do you guys think?
Enzo?
If you think that's what's right, then that's what we do. I'm here to do what I always do: keep you alive long enough for you to do your thing and solve the problem.
Miss Dalloway?
Life requires risk.
Indeed. Doctor, you have already given your answer.
Gives a thumbs up.
I discovered a tone. It is a strange and unique one. And there appears to be some sort of mysticism to it, in which I found a reference to the gaze through the mist. Does that ring any bells for anyone?
Does that, teacher?
It does not ring any bells, but as soon as Winifred says the gaze through the mist, all of you feel like an overbearing sense of despair.
I was gonna say, joke's on you, Mike. That's me every day.
Not you, Paul. Harold feels a despair.
Oh, somebody leave a window open? Okay.
Y'all just get a weird chill.
Oh, yeah, I felt something. Okay, well, what do we think that means?
I believe this may be tied to Martha's bargain. And I believe that there's the potential this window has been looked through both ways.
Oh. Well, that is spooky.
We are aware of its possibility. And I believe it has gazed back.
Gaze through the mist.
Miss Dalloway, you are a maven of the occult. What think you?
I think that if it knows we exist, it's time we open the door.
Very well. Enzo, I do believe that you will be the one who first faces whatever emerges from the door.
Well, then you best let me know as much about it as possible so I can be as prepared as possible.
If it is what I think it is, you'll be facing a terrible thing indeed.
Hey, hold on. What door are we opening? What is he facing? I don't like doors, and I don't like things behind doors.
The metaphysical door, Harold.
Well, I mean, either way, doors are doors, and I don't like doors opening that we don't know what we're opening for. If we don't know what's beyond that, metaphorical or not metaphorical, or and I'm just saying. And then Harold starts like shaking a little bit. He's a little freaking out. What are we doing exactly? Are you proposing?
I think fear that we may have the attention of whatever Martha has made her bargain. I think the most expeditious choice is to gather as much information on her and Robert as possible. And I believe we need to confront her before this thing attempts to stop us. And in doing so, perhaps we can free her from her binding and lay the curse to rest. Although exactly how to do so is not my area of expertise. And she casts a glance over at Virginia. The other option, you mentioned a seance, Miss Dalloway.
I did. We can absolutely do that.
Who's to say we couldn't speak to Martha?
What about speaking to her dead fiance or
I don't know that he would
husband or
have that
whatever?
much information to give.
We could at least confirm that he's dead, right? Isn't this the whole problem?
Oh,
She
he's
thinks he's
definitely
gonna
dead. This happened over 100 years ago.
maybe like get a message from him, like, "Hey, I'm dead. You can not do this anymore. Stop killing people."
Maybe reunite the two?
I
That
don't believe uniting them is not a bad idea. I don't believe he died here. Because if he had, she would have been able to take his soul. And she would presumably have what she wanted. At which point, I would think she would have taken the next step in utilizing the spirits of all those drowned sailors to do whatever this entity has asked of her. But if we could speak to her outside of its control through a seance.
I'm gonna throw out a little bit of a theory. I used to work with a lot of shady people, and I find that when you making deals like this and you're getting screwed over, that I feel like this thing, whatever is making these deals with this girl who's probably just lost her mind. I don't even know if like talking to her is gonna make a difference. But it did something specifically so that her fiance, whoever this guy Joseph or whatever, this
Robert.
Robert, so that he didn't make it back because he wanted her as his little enforcer to be killing all these sailors or whatever. So he basically gave her the shit end of a deal that he knew he could get out of so that she would have to keep doing what he wanted or it wanted her to do. And then he would never had to pay her fair price for it. At least
that makes sense.
in my circles, that was pretty common way of doing business.
That makes quite a bit of sense. I wouldn't expect this thing to deal fairly.
I think it's not a terrible idea to try to reunite them. Perhaps reuniting them or getting a message to her would put her at some level of peace that she could move on. And perhaps just the act of moving on and finding that peace would break whatever tether she has to this entity.
What would you need to summon his spirit?
Honestly, just us. Maybe some candles, quiet space.
Any information?
No. I mean, we have the lantern. We have, if we wanted to get specific about location, we have the lighthouse. I think that would be enough.
We could certainly bring her there easy enough, just wherever we drag the lantern.
The letters.
Do you think the cavern might hold some significance to doing something like this?
there's something definitely wacky with the caverns. I I can't put my mind on it, but just ever since we left, it's almost like a gnawing bug that's just drilling into the back of my brain, and I can't. So I think the cavern has something. Whether I mean maybe that's where the entity or wherever that deal was struck. You know, in those letters and those books, she did basically live on that cliff, which had a good view, and there's something daunting and drawing about the ocean in that area. It could have been easily where she just fell victim towards that cavern.
I could be thinking too big. The thing that gazes in the mist could be Martha herself, not whatever she made a deal with. That I was trying to find information on what she struck a deal with, but the feeling, the sorrow, that could go either way. I have a feeling whatever it is she made a deal with preys on the vulnerable.
I mean, it sounds like we need to go take a look at the cavern. We need to see if we want to talk to Martha or talk to
Robert.
Robert, and try to reunite. I think reuniting sounds like the right play. These acts that she's doing is out of anger and unfulfillment and not closing something. So maybe just giving her the option of peace would stop her and give her a reason to calm her rage.
She will come to us if we have that lantern.
Yes.
If we can bring Robert to us, the lantern will draw her to us. Perhaps that's how we will bring them together. But Enzo, you mentioned these individuals climbing the cliff.
Mountain climbers. Ghost mountain climbers, he said.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was her little underwater army of dead people or whatever this she's been collecting with the crashing the ships and all that and the lantern. And they just seems like they're gonna be coming for the lantern on the kind of on the regular here. They're pretty hell bent on getting it back.
So she has officially launched on the offensive.
Yeah, it seems like she's died out a little bit. Like maybe rethinking her strategy, or maybe ghosts only you guys would know ghosts only operate from certain hours. They gotta they gotta sleep or whatever. I don't know.
Miss Dalloway, that's more your area of expertise.
They operate at all hours.
Teacher, quick question out of character.
Yep.
When I was doing the blood drawing on the window,
Mhm.
you said I saw a woman through the
Mhm.
window, right? Can you remind me what she was? It a woman? Was it the same woman that like I think at some point I saw at a glimpse of when I was at the lighthouse? Is it the same woman, or is it like a different woman, or
I
is
want
it
to say you saw her in the top of the lighthouse when you were pulling me out.
Yeah. Yes, because I remember there was that dread look where I was like, "Oh, I don't want to look, but I'm an idiot. I'm gonna look," and I looked.
No, the dread look at the top of the lighthouse as you were saving Winifred from her own fear was that you saw a bluish green light in the cavern.
Got it.
There have only been reports of a woman wielding a lantern. None of you have seen her.
Okay. But I did see a woman.
You did see a woman dressed in perhaps a gray, a white, off-white gown, hair
gown, okay.
matted, wet, face partially obscured, definitely barefoot, and in the dress was not like a dress you'd wear outside the house.
Virginia, do you remember when we were at the lighthouse? When you touched the lantern, you mentioned that you saw something, like with waves crashing around. Correct? Was it a woman?
It was a woman.
Was she wearing a tattered, pale dress with, morning dew hair that's as if someone didn't wash it or,
Well,
dunked it, I guess?
from what I can remember, it was like I was underwater. And so I didn't get a good glimpse of what she was wearing, but I just remember rotting skin, I think, like waterlogged skin. Um, she had long hair, um, but I can't remember what she was wearing.
It cannot be a coincidence that we are seeing mirror images of this woman whenever something happens. To my concern, she was fairly close to the manor. I think she's getting more. I don't think we can spend too much time divvying up our attention here. I think the more we wait, the more agitated she seems to be getting. So
Perhaps. Go ahead.
We need to be quick.
we need to choose a course of action and launch this and try to get the lantern and me, particularly me, because I'm old, into a safe area where I don't need to be running up and down the stairs. So, what's the plan? Do we want to try to summon her ex? Summon her? Go to the cavern?
I think going to the cavern and bringing him to us there and letting her confront him
Yeah,
seems a reasonable course of action.
that sounds safe. Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's not safe at all.
Yeah,
But
right.
what was it you said, Miss Dalloway?
Life requires risks.
Okay.
Mr. Enzo, what will you require in order to be able to keep Miss Dalloway safe as she is doing this? What supplies should we gather for you?
Well, that's kind of up to you. The best thing I can have is knowledge of what I might be facing, and tools that help against whatever I happen to be facing, assuming they are available. Otherwise, I will just improvise.
When you threw the thing at the mountain climbers, do you remember? Was it made of like metal? What was it? Maybe some sort of metal repels these zombie mountain climbers.
It's just a big ceramic pot filled with dirt and half a dead plant.
What happened when you...
They just popped. They didn't fall. They didn't. Nothing. They just weren't there anymore.
They
Okay.
vanished.
I think the rune that Harold drew is going to be our safest bet for protection.
Harold,
true.
can you mimic that rune again?
I think so. I don't. It was all kind of a blur, but I can definitely try.
Mr. Enzo, let's speak with Nigel and see if there's any equipment here that might be of use for you combating these things, should they be able to traverse beyond the protection of Harold's runes.
Sounds good to me. By the way, are we doing this thing tonight, or
We should get some supplies, get some preparation, and then Harold looks up. Oh, I have an idea. And then I'm gonna shimmy out of the room in a scurry and just run out. And then
What was his idea?
I think that's the perfect segue. As Harold
the idea was
shimmies
he had
out
to
of
go
the
to the
room.
bathroom?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so juicy.
As Harold shimmies out of the room, the camera follows him. Shuffles, sorry.
Thank you.
The camera follows him down whatever corridors he goes down. But as he turns down one, the camera continues and out the front door, across the grounds, through the woods, and into a clearing. We see a circle of ancient stones. 3 concentric rings, and in the center of them a large stone, semi-embedded in the ground. And we see the back of Niles Lane. He's speaking to someone just on the other side of the stone. And he says, yes, it appears as though they have found the book. I have no idea how. We thought it lost. No, I understand, ma'am. I'll continue to monitor them. And that's where we end this episode of The Witching Hour.
You're a bitch.
Bum,
I
bum.
knew he was a shady bastard.
You're a bitch. I knew. Yeah, I didn't like Nigel, whatever his fucking name is. I don't like him.
I know, man. It might be that he's talking to somebody on our side.
You never know.
I don't like to be monitored.
Mystery. Mysteries abound.
Maybe he's just angry at us because we keep calling him Nigel instead of
You
Niles.
keep calling him Nigel instead of Niles. Niles Lane is his name.
At least I haven't done it to his face.
Yeah, that's no one's done it to his face yet. Awesome. That will conclude episode 3. This one was called Whispers on the Wind. So let's go around, do our introduction so we can get out of here, and we can do our after show. And if you guys want access to the after show, you can get them over on our Patreon at the $5 tier. Join us over there for all kinds of after shows for this show and all the shows for the last several years on unMadeGaming. It's worth your time if you want some behind-the-scenes looks. We will start, because I tortured you this episode. Cinda, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And what are you up to?
My name is Cinda. You can find me on Instagram at witchlord3. I am up to this. This is what I'm doing. Otherwise, I am just being a little hobbit in my home, crafting and doing witchy shit.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. From you, we'll drop right down on my screen and go to Katie. Who are you? Where can we find you? What are you up to?
Hello, everybody. My name is Katie Downey, aka Goblin Katie. I am a TTRPG and very rarely variety streamer these days. You can find me on the socials at Goblin Katie. I have shifted my focus and will primarily be posting on Blue Sky now. I think we all know why. And on Thursday nights, you can find me on Players and Book on Twitch, and I am part of a wonderful 5e experience where we are playing in the homebrew world of Heimel. It is a 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons game. I play a College of Eloquence Triton Bard who is absolutely wonderful, and I love her. But we would love to see you there. So thank you for being here. Mwah.
Hell freaking yeah.
And dude, this was a great session.
Thanks. I hope you guys like this one. We'll jump right up to the top on my screen. Jason, who are you? Where can we find you? What are you up to?
My name is Jason. I am one of many people of the Rollmageddon podcast. I'm usually the GM. We do mostly free league games. Right now, however, we're finishing up releasing a game called Raven, which is a very interesting, very literary, Edgar Allan Poe inspired family infighting. It's been a lot of fun for the players to be horrible people. So yeah, and then we have a bunch of other stuff that we have done in the past, and we're currently gassing up for an Electric State campaign, which should be really fun. I'm super jazzed about that. So yeah, look at us, ROLLMAGEDDON. If you do a Google search, we're the only ones out there, so you'll probably find us somewhere.
Yeah. Go check them out. As I said before, a bit of a cyclical relationship. Jason used to watch some of our shows. I now listen to the podcast. Podcasts are great. Go check them out. A lot of free league stuff on there. So if you like beer and pretzels shenanigans, definitely go check them out and stay after the credits for a lot of laughs. That being said, we'll jump over to our slowest character. Paul, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And what are you up to?
How fucking dare you?
I dare. I dare.
No, you do, and I love it. Always dare. Hi, my name is Paul. In what 1 through 3 on socials. I don't really do much but vibe. So thanks for being here, having a blast, being an idiot as always.
You were real clueful tonight.
Clueful.
Clueful.
Mm-hmm.
She.
I love clueful. Is my new lexicon.
I feel like I'm learning every day. It's fantastic. No, I'm just vibing. But thank you guys for being here. You can find me here. I don't really have anything else going on, but yeah, that's it. You guys
Hell
are
yeah.
awesome.
Hell
Mike,
yeah.
you're awesome. I love
Shut
you.
up.
You're great.
Shut your mouth.
Okay.
That being said, that's it from us. Thank you so much for being here. As everyone said, go follow us on all the socials. Follow everyone on the socials. Do all the things. Leave a comment on YouTube. Do it for the algorithm. But that's it. We will see you guys next time. So from all of us to you, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.